system's rigged, man, it's time to break free. Eyes wide open, gotta see what I see. Standing on the front lines, fighting for the truth. Lift the veil of lies, it's time to be the proof. Take a stand, don't you back down. Raise your voice, let's shake the town. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United and free. Marching with a purpose, we're taking it higher. Fighting through the struggle, igniting the fire. No more silence, we'll make the noise loud. Together in this battle, standing strong and proud. Injustice fades when courage aligns. Rise up together, break the confines. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United and free. So rise up now, it's our time to shine. Together we'll write a new paradigm. You paradigm, you paradigm. Whoa, whoa. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. Rise up now, it's our time to shine. United and free. We'll write a new paradigm, new paradigm. United and free. United and free. United and free.
All right, guys, welcome. This is a reaction show to those two ladies behind me, Boone and Komoroski, were sentenced today. 2 huge days. One we expected, the other we did not. We thought it was going to be a trial. So we'll do a little recap. Then we're going to get ourselves caught up on exactly what happened there in court. Do we agree with it? Did the judge get it right in these cases? Look, anytime sentencing is involved, it's one of the toughest things because you've got victims, you've got victims, you've got the defendant's family, you've got to kind of try to weigh all the different factors that go into sentencing somebody because you've got so many different factors. And there's never really a right answer, really, because some are going to think you went too lenient. Some are going to think you went too hard. Some are going to think you got it just right. But you're very seldomly going to please everybody. And that's why it's one of the I think it's one of the toughest things that a judge does is trying to impose a sentence and trying to get what we would call the right sentence or delve out what some people would call justice, although justice is not the sentence. It is not a conviction. It is not an acquittal. It is the process that takes you through all of those aspects. And justice for both of these ladies is still happening because they're going to be going. Well, I don't know that Komoroski will be going any further, although she might, because after pleas, you can appeal sentences. Although I think she gave up her right to appeal the sentence when she did this. But Sarah Boone, on the other hand, she's about to ride into the appellate process in a big way, as you're going to hear. The judge is going to go through appointing appellate counsel for her. He's actually going to leave it up to the clerk's office because of the mess that things are with her and appointed counsel in the state of Florida. So anyways, let's recap here. So let's start out with the easy one, right? We got Sarah Boone here. Sarah Boone was facing sentencing. She was convicted back in October after a 10-day trial of putting I guess it was her boyfriend, George Torres, into a suitcase. They were playing hide and seek. The state said she lured him into the suitcase, zipped him up, and then left him in there to die. Her defense said a little bit of a different story there, not quite that simple. Said that George got in there on his own. It was a playful game, and then trauma kicked in, and Boone's trauma from years of abuse kicked in from George Torres, and she left him in the suitcase and went into basically a traumatized state and decided he wasn't getting out. And then due to alcohol and being intoxicated, she fell asleep, forgot he was in there, woke up mortified in the morning, and they asked the jury to essentially excuse her actions due to being an abused spouse or due to having been an abused woman. The jury, I think, sent about the loudest rejection of that they possibly could, with a 90-minute guilty verdict back in October. So now she's here. She's facing 16 and 3/4 years to life. And she did about, I think, the poorest job in a sentencing hearing you could do to try to make a case to a judge that you deserve any type of mitigation or any type of breaks from the judge. She seemed to be hell-bent on making sure she didn't. That's about the best way to put it, because she went and actually she gave an apology, but she very interestingly apologized to herself. So we're going to watch a little bit of that debacle, although I don't really think her attorney probably had much to say as far as what was going to happen here. He tried to put on a little bit of a defense. He put on a doctor who tried to testify, and then, like I said, we're gonna watch some of Sarah Boone's statement, and then we're gonna watch her sentence, and then we'll get into Jamie Komoroski. So let me get this thing queued up here on the Sarah Boone front. Make sure we're all queued up and ready to go, and then we'll jump into watching that. So give me a moment here. And we'll get myself here down a little bit lower here. Don't want to block old Sarah Boone from her moment in the sun there. Probably one of her final moments she'll enjoy in a public setting such as this. And I guess I need to move myself up here, don't I? So, all right, let's roll. Let's roll this beautiful sentencing footage here. Here we go.
You may inquire, sir. For the record, just state your name again.
Sarah Boone.
All right. Now, this is unlike a trial, so you're allowed to speak in a narrative form, as well as I understand you have taken some notes or written a letter that you want to read from, and then you want to speak to the court after that.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and get started?
This is actually an edited version of. I had a lot to say. I've had a lot of time to think about things, and I didn't really know how to put it on paper, and I didn't know how much I could say or how little I should say. So what I have here is, like I said, an edited version. But I would like to read the more important parts that I feel that everyone should know that wasn't said in my actual trial. And on top of what I have on paper, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I wanted to read this, and then if I may, I would like to address everyone in my apology on top of my statement.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Kintu Sukuroi is a kind of Japanese ceramic style which means to repair with gold. In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the breaks become more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. It embraces flaws, weakness, and imperfections, and also teaches the essence of resilience. Every crack in a ceramic piece is a part of its history.
And we're going at 1.5 times speed here just for time purposes.
In my wisdom, and with all of my repairs, then, now, and ongoing, God is, has been, and will always be my artisan. All of my gold is forgiveness. This has held me together, made me shine brighter, and overcome the damage caused by George Torres, the Torres family, the justice system, Orange County Corrections Department, social media, scoundrel detectives, infamy, defamation, ongoing constitutional rights violations, second-degree murder, forced into being pro se. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow. Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache, irreparable cracks on top of the already that no one deserves, no matter the pain or disappointment, untruths or injustice. It doesn't matter, as the more broken you are, even though now different than before, you've become more outstanding and more extraordinary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstandings, excuses, give up your anger and cease from resentment, this is forgiven. And when you forgive, you heal. And when you heal, you move forward. My goal begins with George Torres, and every time he slapped me, kicked, punched, spit on, raped, stabbed, choked, laughed at, pushed, pulled, dragged, whipped, tripped, stole from, lied, terrorized, threatened, humiliated, forced, degraded, made me cry. Every time he tried to end me, defeat, or destroy. I forgive George for beating me senseless, for trying to sleep because I had to go to work or my son's field trip the next day, for ruining my deceased family's heirlooms, traditions, and keepsakes, my son's furniture, destroying the television we watched together, for wrecking our townhome by breaking windows, punching holes in the walls and doors, ramming his entire body into glass doors, kicking in my front and back door over and over and over, for breaking or removing the locks from all of the doors and sometimes the knobs altogether, so I had nowhere to feel safe, including the sacred space of my son's room where he beat me bloody on his bed, for terrorizing and threatening my blind and deaf dogs by leaving the gate open I built to keep them safe, telling me he hoped I'd find their bloated dead body in the pond or scrape their remains off of the pavement, for kicking them off of the bed and throwing across the room because they were trying to protect me, for threatening to make me unrecognizable to my son by breaking all of the bones in my face, like his brother Moses did to him after he kept seeing all of the bruises. It simply seems I cannot forgive and be forgiven and move forward. Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my cases online. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, and uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Also, all of the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right by making me appear so wrong. Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theatrics, lies, making and taking blood money from my and others' misfortunes, accidents, and catastrophes. It's all over their hands and their keyboards. And even after all that's been said and done, theorized, hypothesized, scrutinized, and blasphemed, in my case, still no one knows me. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, for being hopeless, desperate, simple-minded, weak, and inexperienced. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring a life of domestic violence and that the vicious cycle of never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I've never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and should never happen. No excuse. I forgive myself for not escaping permanently, for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my son, my dogs, home, and car. Having 20/20 hindsight, thinking of everything I could have done differently or better to avoid the outcome. I think about this every day since.
Oral statement.
I do.
All right, would you do that now?
Yes, please. My verbal statement is primarily to the Torres family, to the judge, to his daughters. I know you all know who I really am and that I did care for George and that I do still love George. I know you know that we had very many good days. And I take offense to the statement of being said that this is just for a moment. Right now with me here in the courtroom in front of you all, this is just for a moment. But the moments before that, in order for me to be here, is endless. It's everlasting. The scars that I have on the inside, my outside scars have healed, except for my stab wound. But this has changed me as a person to see things differently and to understand things differently and to not be weak and just try to protect yourself. And forever, regardless of the time that I may receive from today, I forever will have this experience. I forever will have George Torres with me in my heart, in my mind, my body, and my soul. As he and I used to say that we were one soul split into two bodies. This is not just for a moment. It may be for everyone in this courtroom, but when I leave, this is forever. When you all leave, that this is forever. This is forever for everyone here and those who it matters to most. I am one of those who will experience this forever. I'm sorry. Words do not define my shame, and I don't know what else it is that I can say and convey to the Torres family how this happened. The ifs and whys and how really don't matter. It happened, and I'm sorry. Words cannot describe. And I hope that everyone can forgive me, the Torres family most of all, and his daughters, because I know what he meant to them. And I don't think that anybody ever understood what he meant to me and I to him. And I ask for forgiveness.
Ms. Boone, I have just one or two questions, if you don't mind. And you can speak on it if you want or not. But this is a unique case, and one of the reasons it's so unique is that you were in jail for 4.5 years prior to your trial. And I understand that when you were brought up as a child, that you did have some spirituality in your family, some church, some religion.
Always.
But I understand that you got away from that. Did you have a chance during the 4.5 years to look back at your spirituality?
Absolutely. You know, everyone supposes that this is one of the worst experiences of my life, and it's actually been one of my greatest. If I were not beaten to death, I was going to work myself to death on the outside, and I never had time to get back into my Bible and to pray and to be with the Lord. And I, being here incarcerated, have had time, of course, to get closer to God, to reacquaint myself to Him, and realize what it's all about. This is all temporary, and when I say temporary, I don't mean by being set free in jail or from prison or wherever else. It means being set free and temporary, meaning that you work for something higher, you work for God, that you strive for your crown to be placed upon your head by Jesus Christ by being said, "You have done well, my good and faithful servant." I've always tried to be a good and faithful servant. I was just a servant, as opposed to doing all that I can when my family were alive and I was going through everything up to this point. I've become so much more closer to the Lord, and it's made me such a better person, and I hope that I am an example going forward of the Lord's light and can draw many people to me because of it.
Any follow-up, State?
No, I assume that was the final.
All right, so textbook on what not to say, what not to do. I mean, you talk about the biggest contradiction I've ever heard in my life. You go from he's this evil guy to we're one soul split in two to I love him. I mean, my God. Well, I don't know what result she was hoping to get from that statement. I don't know what. I think that one result we can say, she needs some help. I hope she gets the help she needs. I hope she's open to getting counseling while she's incarcerated. But let's take a look at what the result of that presentation got her, because there is a sentence that was delivered, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what her thought was when she did this or prepared that, or what she thought she was going to get out of it. But this is ultimately what she did. Let's check it out.
Statements presented here today, the statements of character witnesses, both orally and in writing, Dr. Harper's report and testimony, the defendant's testimony, pre-sentencing investigation, the arguments of the state and the arguments of the defense. Court pronounces sentence as follows. Ms. Boone, court sentences you to life in the Department of Corrections with credit time served that Madam Clerk will provide to you momentarily. There are also court costs and costs of prosecution, which Madam Clerk will give you the totals of momentarily. Due to the court levying a life sentence, the court is inclined to liquidate those to a civil judgment unless I hear opposition from the state.
No opposition, Your Honor.
All right. Madam Clerk, if you could please give us the credit time served and the court.
So there you have it, guys. Life. She got life. Life. And that means in Florida, there is no parole. So she was sentenced to life without parole. Now, as I went over in the prequel to the sentencing, the judge ultimately did turn down the motion for a new trial. That's going to go up to the appellate court. No surprise there. But there are, I believe, some actual interesting issues that she has that an appellate attorney will need to explore. One being the idea that the judge took away her counsel. So that could be something, and then didn't give the new counsel time to prepare. And then on top of that, you've got the expert who came up with an opinion. And that's probably the biggest potential issue she has that could get her a new trial. Although, you wonder, will they do it? Who knows? I mean, a lot of times in big high profile cases like that, where it's just a distasteful defendant like her, they may find a reason just to say, hey, you know what, we're going to find legal reasoning here to not send this thing back down and become another headache for Judge Cranick. I can imagine Judge Cranick very much hopes it doesn't come back to him. But she got life. So you know, those of you, if you ever find yourself in Sarah Boone's position, I think some word to the wise: don't apologize to yourself. Don't go after the person you left in a suitcase. Probably a bad act. Listen, remember, a life sentence was not necessarily the only sentence that could have been applied here. She could have been given 16 and a half years. Remember, the state was going to give her 15 years. This lady, to me, there's something wrong with her, right? This lady, in this instance, was given a cupcake deal, 15 years. She would have been out probably in about 12. At worst, she'd have been out. It only would have been about another 8 or 9 years. Actually, it would have been only probably maybe 6 or 7 years maximum that she would have served more time on, and then she'd have been out. This been behind her, and she went to trial, and then she just proceeded to just worsen her situation, every aspect, everything she did at every stage, at every event, and now she's sitting on a life sentence. So. Absolutely terrible. Now, let's transition over here to Miss Jamie Komoroski. Who is Jamie Komoroski? What is this case? Who is she? She was supposed to be on trial this week. This was the new trial that was coming up. This was one I was looking forward to seeing what they were going to do. And as I said in the lead up when I was doing my pre-show on this, and I said, I think they're going to plead out. I think that they're probably going to take an open plea and they're going to argue for less. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly how it played out here. And it turns out her attorney, she wanted to plead guilty apparently long ago, and her attorneys had advised her, no, wait, let's look at discovery. Let's make sure everything's in line. Because in a DUI case, obviously the most important, or something that deals with a DUI, the most important evidence is the evidence that she was drinking. So you want to make sure that evidence is sound. You want to make sure it's in line. You want to make sure the tests are in line. You want to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And once you find out that they are, then you normally do work out a plea. Now, some people in the comments when we were watching this together said, oh, stupid move on her part. She should have never pled out. Well, there was a rumor that and I went back and rewatched some stuff on it in preparation for this. Apparently, her defense had been actively, allegedly, attempting to get the state to agree to a 15-year sentence, to which the state said, no way. So I believe what her attorneys were promising her or hoping was that the judge would come in at 15 years on this case, and she would, if you're looking at her age, she's 27, she'd be in her 40s. However, the judge went a little higher than that. We're going to watch that. So I think what we're going to do here, one thing I want to play is I want to play the difference here. We just heard Sarah Boone, and you want to hear a little bit of a different allocution, a little bit of a different statement to the court, and we're gonna play that here. Give me a moment. Let me get this queued up.
You're welcome. My name is Jamie Komoroski, and on the night of April 28, 2023, I chose to drink and drive, which resulted in the death of Samantha Miller and the serious injuries of Eric Hutchinson and injuries to family members Benjamin and Brogan. This is the worst decision I have ever made in my life, and it has affected the lives of so many. First and foremost, I want to address all the victims of the accident I caused and say how truly and deeply sorry I am. wife, sister, daughter, and friend of many, is no longer with us. And for that, while I know an apology will fix nothing, all I can say is how incredibly remorseful I am. I also am truly sorry and remorseful for the physical and emotional pain I caused to the other family members. I wish I could go back and undo this terrible tragedy, but I cannot. I will live the rest of my life with immense regret for what happened that night. I also want to express my deep remorse and sincere apologies to all who were involved in this tragedy, including the first responders, police, friends, and families of the victims, and anyone who was hurt in any way due to my poor decisions that night. This will be something that impacts all of you for the rest of your lives. I take full responsibility for the tragic outcome that my decisions have made. I will carry this guilt with me for the rest of my life. And as much as I wish I could go back in time and have none of this happen, I know that cannot be done. A lesson I have learned is that just because you have good intentions or would never want to hurt anyone, if you aren't being responsible for your actions, you can and you will hurt people. I know I am going to be punished for these actions, and I agree that it is something that must be done. I would like to make it clear that whatever my punishment is, I will use the time to better myself, spread awareness about the dangers of drinking and driving, continue to help others with addictions through AA, and work every day to improve myself to give maximum service to the community and my fellows. Some ways I plan on doing this include staying extremely involved in AA and the fellowship of helping people recover from their addictions. I am able to do this because I know what it is like to be an addict. I did not want to believe that I had an addiction to alcohol before this tragedy, and so I told myself every day I was normal. The fact was, though, that I was helplessly addicted to alcohol, and that I was living every day with no meaning. This led to me not caring about how my actions would affect others. I never want to live my life that way again. And I hope to help people to never have to feel that way as well. After completing my sentence, however long Your Honor decides, I plan on going back to school to get a master's degree in animal-assisted therapy. This degree will allow me to follow out my dreams of being able to help people recover from PTSD, anxiety, depression, addiction, and more through the use of rescue animals. Lastly, I want to share my story with as many people possible in order to try and prevent tragedies like this from happening to other families. I want to emphasize the importance of warnings of drinking and driving to college students as well as young adults who haven't heard the message since high school. It is vital that the warnings of drinking and driving don't stop after the age of 18. I feel we all need to be reminded, no matter what our age is, so that the reality that this can happen, if not careful, stays fresh in people's minds. I have never been in trouble before, but one isolated decision of mine devastated so many lives. All of this work I plan on doing will be dedicated to Samantha and her family. Unfortunately, it took this incredible tragedy and terrible incident to wake me up to the extent of my addiction. I hope to help people wake up rehabilitate before it's too late. Because every single decision we make has consequences. And knowing you have taken a beautiful life from this world is something I will live with every moment of every day going forward. A life that should have lived on to fulfill all of her dreams and ambitions, who would have helped so many people in her life, all because of my own inconsiderate and thoughtless actions. I want the last thing that I say to be that from the very bottom of my heart, with every fiber in my being, how sorry I am, and that I take full responsibility for my actions. Hopefully one day you will be able to forgive me, but I know forgiveness must be earned. Regardless of whether that day ever comes, please know that I will always be devastated, deeply ashamed, and terribly sorry for what I have done. I pray God stands by the side of my victims and their family and loved ones for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. Tremendous contrast in the two defendants and their approach, and we'll see how it turns out for her. But let me give you a little background on this case, just so you can kind of, if you're not really familiar with it, I'm sure you are, but just in case you're not. This young lady, I guess it was in a April evening, I believe it was 2020. I want to say it was April of 2023 when this occurred. She went out for a day of drinking. While she's drinking, a very beautiful couple were getting married, having the most, obviously incredible day, one of the most important days of their lives. And unfortunately, they collided, literally. After the wedding was done, the plan was for this married couple to get a ride on pretty much like an ATV type vehicle to their oceanfront bungalow. And a family friend and his son were in charge of riding them back. And on their way back, they're riding down this road, and this lady here, Jamie Komoroski, she's drunk. She's over, I think it was 2.267. She was like 5 times the legal limit, and she slams into that off-road vehicle and kills the bride. The 3 men that were on that vehicle were severely injured. And in this hearing, go back and watch the hearing. I've got it divided in excerpts. I've got it in the full, but you're here the devastating injuries that were suffered by these men, and so, the one guy that was driving the vehicle, he's still suffering today. He has lifetime injuries. The groom has lifetime injuries. Obviously, he's got lifetime mental scars. They all spoke. It was a quite moving hearing, very much worth going back and watching. But it was a devastating situation. Now, what made it even more devastating is when this young lady gets arrested, the first thing she's talking about is not the devastation she caused, but she's talking about herself. She goes to the police. It's all about me, 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 me. Then she gets on the jail phones, and it's, why did this happen to me? How could this happen to me? Totally forgetting the fact that it's not about her at that moment. It should be about the devastation she just caused these other people because of her decision to get behind the wheel of a vehicle, drunk. And as a result, those calls got released to the public, and there's been a lot of backlash on her. So coming into this sentencing hearing, there was a lot of emotion, a lot of people that want to see this girl get the book thrown at her. Now, to set the tone here, she's facing 3 to 85 years. That's what the judge had. At one point, her defense was trying to negotiate a 15-year plea deal. So that's kind of where the defense was targeting in this. And the defense put on 7 of her family members who testified. Now, one of the things that's kind of a point of contention is the judge was upset because she didn't go to inpatient treatment for her alcoholism. she's just been doing AA. She did some jailhouse AA, got out, and she got out on bond. She was finally released on bond when this thing hadn't gone to trial this past March. It was one of the conditions set when her bond was denied that if she wasn't tried or hadn't had the case worked out by March of 2024, he would go ahead and let bond get set. It was set at $150,000, home confinement. But she claimed that there was, in her defense claim, there were no adequate programs for her. Apparently, there is a program that she could have been. It's called the Peers Program. Apparently, it's a pretty intensive program. It's a 16-week program. She didn't complete that. Then when she got out, allegedly, the state did confirm that they did not give clearance for her to go into an inpatient program and do this. But her defense never asked the court, never went to a judge, never pushed the buck. So that coming into this sentence that you're about to see get leveled is not favorable either. And the judge made it very clear she wasn't happy about that. So that's kind of the backdrop going into this. And then you've got her who says, I've been active in AA. I haven't drank. Obviously, she didn't drink when she was in the county jail. She hasn't drank while she was out. She had to wear a scram device, which basically it's constantly monitoring your sweat to ensure that there's no alcohol detected in your sweat. So never had a problem, never drank, never had any issues. But the judge is still saying, well, wait a minute. You want credit for this recovery program that you're allegedly working. It's working so well in your life. But we all know alcoholism, many people can go to rehab. There was a guy that just got sentenced. He'd been to rehab for 15 times. And after 5 DUIs, he killed an entire family. So we all know that if she thinks AA is all she's got to do, that's not going to cut it, more likely than not. So anyways, the judge, with that backdrop, with all of this, with that emotional statement, goes ahead and imposes sentence. So let's check out the sentence here and check out the reaction to the sentence. And let's see what happens here. Give me a moment here. We'll get this pulled up.
In the nature of sentencing on the offense of reckless driving, reckless homicide, which is 2023 GS 103895. You're sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of 10 years and $5,000 provided upon the service of 10 years. So, yeah. On both counts of felony DUI, great bodily injury, you're sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of 15 years and $5,100 provided upon the service of 15 years. And on the offense of felony DUI with death, you're sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of 25 years and $10,100 provided upon the service of 25 years. These sentences are concurrent with one another. You'll get credit pursuant to 241340 if that becomes applicable. And I think it is appropriate, and I queried Mr. Finch for a particular reason. It was not random. Our state legislature, in their infinite wisdom, amended 241340 to allow for time spent on monitored house arrest. And it was contemplated that a person get credit when they are basically in jail at home. And based on how Ms. Komoroski's home detention was structured, she was in jail, but for being at home. And I think it is appropriate that she receive credit for any time served on monitored house arrest or home detention. Those terms in my mind are interchangeable. From the period of 3/1/2024 through the present, and we'll calculate that and place it on her sentencing sheets. Again, these sentences are concurrent. I've ordered the ATU if that is available to her, and she will get credit for any time served pursuant to 241340. Thank you all for your time and your attention today. Have a good afternoon. And I will leave the clearance of the courtroom to security.
All right, so there you have it, guys. 25 years. So a lot less than the 85 she was facing. If she probably would have taken this to trial, she would have undoubtedly probably gotten something equivalent to a life sentence. 10 years more than what what's rumored that her defense was trying to get the state to agree to, and obviously significantly more than the minimum of 3 that she faced. So, you could see by her reaction. I mean, I thought it was funny, all that talk of responsibility and I want to take responsibility. And then you saw the judge impose a sentence. It's funny. It's like the old saying that Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face, and kind of has the same with criminal sentences. Everybody's taking responsibility until you hear your sentence. And then you're like, oh shit, that's what responsibility looks like. But listen, obviously she's lucky. I've seen a lot worse sentences than that, and she's still going to have a life when she gets to that. She's 27 now. I think she was 26 or 25. I think she was 25 when it happened. So she'll be 50 years old when she gets out. I mean, not ideal, obviously, but I think what this judge did, I mean, if I'm hearing this correctly, and you all didn't hear this part, but go back and listen. One of the things that the husband said that was very important to the victim was having children and having a family. And I think what this judge intentionally did is took her out of that period of her life. Now, maybe she could at 50, but it's very unlikely that at age 50 she's going to be having a family or having children. It's possible, but it's just unlikely. So I feel like the judge structured this to say, you know what, you're losing that prime of your life. You're not going to get any of that. You're not going to get the opportunity to go marry and enjoy the things that you took away. Now you're going to get the after effects. You're going to have an opportunity to build and do all these things you're talking about. Go out and get your degree and do the pet therapy thing that she wants to do if you're serious about it. But you're not getting the opportunity to just get that automatically. You're not going to get to experience the things that you took away from this lady who, isn't going to get those things. So, listen, do I think it was a fair sentence? I think it was, given the carnage. I mean, I struggle with the DUI stuff because I know a lot of people see the malice and everything and say, oh, she drank and she did this. But I feel like there's a lot of parties that are responsible for that person, from the bars that served her to the friends that let her drive to the idea that there really is not, this is not an intentional crime in the sense that she set out to kill somebody. It's a reckless crime. And I think it should be treated that way. I think it should be covered by manslaughter laws, whatever those are of the state. And that's how it should be treated, because it's a reckless thing that you've done. A lot of states are adopting the idea that you're doing this as an intentional act. Now, I also look at this too, as she suffers from a disease, I think, and that disease is alcoholism. So I'm a little jaded. I'm a little biased in this, but probably because of some things in my background that I've seen where I say, is there other ways that we could deal with this? Because it's like we're dealing with something that got out of control. People ignored this. She didn't see it. Should she walk away scot-free? No. But I think there should be opportunities here, especially first-time offenders, to try to put some things in effect that I feel like, now, obviously we all know prison is not a place that is devoid of alcohol. So can she go drink? She can. So if there's not things given to her, this is one of these things where we have to deal with this person when she's 50. So everyone's going to say, make her suffer, lock her up, throw away the key. Well, the 85-year sentence maybe would have done that, but it didn't make sense for her being a first offender, no priors. So this 25-year sentence makes a lot of sense. But what doesn't make a lot of sense is if we don't have something to treat the problems that she's going to carry with her out of that prison, and she'll do this again. And in fact, by then she will have no support. Her parents will probably be passed on, or extremely elderly, if not passed on. Who knows if her brothers and sisters will stick with her? If they do, maybe. And there'll be plenty more to be depressed about and plenty more excuses for her to lean back on alcohol. And that's concerning, because you see, she gets out of control when it happens, and she already has one body underneath her and 3 other people's lives she's ruining, countless other people that lives got ruined because of the fact they're missing the person she killed. So, just a tough one. So, how do we rate this here? Boone, did they get that right? Based on her actions and behaviors, I thought a 30-year sentence was the way the judge would go. I thought that was something that would be good, because you wanted to recognize the abuse and things. But the arrogance, the way she acted, the lack of remorse, life, I feel like in this instance, the judge got it right. Although for me, I always think there should be parole available because I just think that that's just something that should be present. I just don't believe in life without parole. But since that is what life is, do I have a problem with this in this instance on her actions, behaviors, the amount of suffering George Torres took? No. Komoroski, do I think that her sentence was good? I think they got it right. So I think both of these judges got it right in this instance. You guys let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know in the chat because this is going to be a pre-recorded live. So let me know in the chat as you're watching this. And when if you make it through to this part, let me know what you think. And I'll be interested to hear. So guys, if there's a lot of interest in this and you guys want to do an actual live where we can talk live, let me know again in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Put a little thumbs up in the comments, like not a thumbs up on the video, but just an actual emoji thumbs up. And I'll know if I get a good deal of interest in that. We're doing actual live where we're not going to watch videos. We're just going to talk about it. Maybe we'll watch some things. Maybe we'll play some of our phone calls. And we'll kind of break it down. Maybe we'll do one on each. You guys let me know what you want to do if you like that. This one's pre-recorded. I just felt like it was better to go pre-recorded here for this one. And due to my schedule and all that good stuff. And I want to make sure that, this is aired after all my videos are out and everybody's had a chance to watch everything and see everything. So anyways, with that said, guys, I think we've talked about everything we need to on this. The justice process continues. I think Jamie Komoroski's process now is serving her sentence out, getting to the parole board. Boone, much more involved process here. She's going to have some appellate issues to deal with. Then she'll serve her sentence, and she'll never get out if nothing changes on appeal. So I guess when she passes away, we'll say the justice process in her case ended, and it was successful. But hey, that's where it goes, guys. Don't do the things these ladies did, and you won't end up in the situation they're in. So with that said, guys, I appreciate everyone who's watched tonight. I appreciate everyone who made it to the end. If you did, hit that like button so other people see this. Hit that subscribe button because we've got a couple more big sentencings coming up. Ashley Benefield tomorrow, Thursday, the Ferris sentencing. I'm not sure if there's any other trials starting this week, but if there are, we'll be covering them. So get subscribed to the #1 trial watching community, true crime trial watching community here on YouTube. Get involved, get here, join us as we're watching. Great chat, great people, great moderators. Hats off to everybody who participates and makes it what it is. I appreciate each and every one of you. Guys, until we talk again, let justice prevail, and I'll talk to you soon.
The system's rigged, man, it's time to break free. Eyes wide open, gotta see what I see. Standing on the front lines, fighting for the truth. Lift the veil of lies, it's time to be the proof. Take a stand, don't you back down. Raise your voice, let's shake the town. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United and free. Marching with a purpose, we're taking it higher. Fighting through the struggle, igniting the fire. No more silence, we'll make the noise loud. Together in this battle, standing strong and proud. Injustice fades when courage aligns. Rise up together, break the confines. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United Together we'll write a new paradigm.